alaikum, welcome back to Reverts World with myself Rauf Shokoya, and our guest today is Brother Mohd Naharuddin, and he has been filling us in on his journey to become a follower of the Ahlul Bayt. And you were just prior to our break, you were talking about this meeting that you'd had with this Sufi Sheikh.
Yeah.
Because you felt you were sitting on the fence.
Yeah, well, it's not just that. I was still convinced that the Sufi path held some hope of salvation for me, if you like. And I was very much attracted to Naqvi's writings. Oh, by the way, I just remembered that he heads a branch of the Shadiliya Tariqa.
Okay.
And the Shadiliya are quite active in Birmingham, I believe. What attracted me are his writings, where he tirelessly stresses the interconnectedness of Shariat with the Tariqat. So I want to see the man in person. So I went, and when I got there, it was evening after Maghrib prayers. Got the chance to sit down in front of him, and the first thing that came out of his mouth was, if you want to follow our path, your deen must not have space for, what's the word in, how do you describe doctrine? There's an Arabic word that describes doctrine.
Doctrine, maybe aqaid, maybe?
Aqaid, yeah. Aqaid must be the aqaid of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah and nothing else. And I froze. The next day I left.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back?
That broke the camel's back, because as much as I respect him, I cannot accept, that, this is a path that hails its lineage back to Imam Ali, the Shadiliya do.
Yes, yes.
And yet, there is this doctrinal wall that says that, hey, 1, 2, and 3 is it. I can't accept that. It's so.
But this is the day that you jumped off the fence, then I take it.
Yeah, when I went to Petra to look at, one of the signs in the Quran, and then headed back to Damascus and spent more time in Zainabiyya.
Really?
I think.
Okay,
yeah.
we need to find out how that was for you, obviously, because of your background and the fact that you'd now, as you put it, come off the fence.
Yeah.
But before we do, can we just backtrack slightly?
Sure.
I mean, you've mentioned so far Imam Ali alayhi salam, and I think you said that it was because of, because you were with these Sufi circles, you'd heard about him, and so this prompted you to maybe read some of his writings.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned Imam Hussein and Sayyidah Zainab and Imam Mahdi. Peace and blessing be upon them all.
Yeah.
I just want to know, I mean, was it just a natural progression? Was it a case that you were reading the writings of Imam Ali alayhi salam and just felt, well, I need to know more about the Imams? I mean, how did you find out about Shiism in the first place?
Okay, I think the key is Imam al-Zaman alayhi salatu wassalam, because every Sunni in his heart believes that Imam Mahdi will come to save the day.
Sure.
When the time comes. It's just that they're confused about who he is.
Is he born? Is he not born?
He's not born. Is he a mirror of the Prophet, or na'uzubillah, a coward, as some of the falsified hadith seem to describe him as. So that's where I took my first cue. And as a Sufi, Ahl al-Qissa is very important. Love for them is the heart of zikr in Sufism.
I see.
So Sufis are halfway there.
Yes, true.
As far as I know.
So, could it be argued? I mean, it sounds like from the massacre in the former Yugoslavia that you were talking about, this prompted you to start maybe looking at things from a more political perspective. So you were looking for the savior, as you put it, and so you began to focus on Imam Mahdi. May Allah hasten his reappearance. How was it that you came from this kind of strong political approach and then you joined the the Khilafah or whatever they called themselves, and who were later Hizb ut-Tahrir, and then from that you become a peaceful, loving Sufi. From my impression, most Sufis, I mean, back in history it wasn't the case, but in this day and age, don't really mix with politics. They kind of separate it and live a life of enriching one's spirituality, so on and so forth.
Okay, I think there is a clear link there because at the time Khilafah, they talked about the last caliphate, which is the Ottoman Empire.
Yes.
At the time, then I began hearing about this particular sect, Sufi sect, which also focuses heavily on, a romanticized view of the Ottoman Empire. And there was another tariqah which is a bit inaccessible from North Africa, which is more militant. Yeah. So,
okay.
There is a thread there.
Sure. So the political. Okay.
Long.
And so when you jumped off the fence, how did you go about? So you went to Zainabia more and more often. And I mean, how was it for you? I mean, did you find anybody to maybe speak to? Did you ask anybody
Not really.
more questions? How did you build up your knowledge base?
Okay, when I came back to England, basically, at the time, the Islamic Center in Maida Vale was headed. I think the director at the time was Ayatollah Araki.
Araki, yes.
And at the time, they had permission to do Jummah prayers. So I made a point of doing Jummah prayers there, as much as I can every Friday. If nothing else, it's the sermons that fed in, slowly trickle in the basic articles of belief of the Shia. And again, I found at the time I found his sermons particularly intriguing because he would divide, as is the sharat, what's the sharat, condition of sermon, you have to split it into two. He would talk about spirituality in the first part and talk about current issues and politics in the second part. And I thought, wow, there is no separation at all. This is what I'm looking for. It's a unified way of looking at the world.
Sure.
There is no, spirituality at midnight at home, and then come the morning you go to work, you're completely divorced from that life.
Yes.
It's a bit tiring to live a double life.
Yes. Yes. So the two are intertwined.
Yeah.
I mean, how about your immediate family? I'm thinking specifically about your wife. I mean, the assumption is that he grew up as a Ahl Sunnah sister as well.
As well.
How did she take to this, or was it a? I mean, how did it work, basically?
Alhamdulillah, she, she followed me, without any resistance, seamlessly. She accepted it readily. In fact, she always tells me that one of the things that hurt her most in our secondary school syllabus is the complete absence of discussion about what happened in Karbala. There was a statement that, Imam Hussein was killed in Karbala. Let's move on. Let's talk about the greatness of the Umayyad Empire. It's just one sentence. He was killed. Then you ask, well, hang on a minute. The Prophet's grandson was killed, and no one wants to discuss about this. So it's that censorship. It's quite hurtful to know this this kind of disdain or embarrassment to discuss about it. Well, it's part of the package of the doctrine to not discuss it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And after as you said, you learnt a lot. I'm sure you were reading as well, but you learnt a lot from these khutbahs that you used to go to, and you saw how, at least in the Ja'fari school, there wasn't a separation of politics from the Sharia and spirituality. They were all intertwined because at the end of the day, Islam is a universal religion. How did this I mean, fine, that's one side of it, the separation. This is something that you noticed wasn't the case in actual fact. I mean, in terms of your day-to-day life and in terms of your spirituality, I'm thinking specifically during, if we were to compare your time as a Sufi, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful to our
Sure.
Sufi brothers and sisters, but during your Sufi years, if you like, and then becoming a follower of the Ahlul Bayt, it's all well and good hearing that they are all intertwined, but did it actually change your spiritual status? Did you feel more?
That's a tough call.
Yeah. Did you feel more in love of the Deen? Did you find that your spirituality rose after you became a follower of the Ahlul Bayt, or?
Yeah, I think so. Although like everybody else, I have my ups and downs. It's like a sine curve. But as I've told someone else the other day, I feel like before I decided to follow this path, the sine curve was like this, and now it's sort of flattened out. I mean, the undulations is not as crazy as before. It's not like a roller coaster,
Sure.
When I slip, the pulling back is vicious and fast, and you become more vigilant of your own self and the temptations in everyday life. It's on that sphere of things. And I find that I've become more politically active. I mean, if I get an email from Stop the War, hey, if it's on the weekend, I'm out on the streets,
Alhamdulillah.
And I do take issue of not seeing enough of my brothers on the streets, because I think it's not right that it's good to see our Sunni brothers bravely carrying the banners and marching along for hours, but the absence of our brothers, I find it.
You're talking about the followers of the Ahlul Bayt. Yeah.
I wish I can see more of their faces on.
Inshallah. I think that's definitely one of those areas that we would need to change within ourselves. I think it's probably got something to do with not that it's an excuse, but maybe to do with our history of being a suppressed, if you like, I won't call us a sect, but suppressed group in societies.
I think it's a good chance to make friends, and I think it can do wonders with breaking the ice with our Sunni brothers.
Sure.
Give it to wonders.
And after these lectures, I mean, did you have any other, again, reading aside, were there any other lectures? I mean, not necessarily of a particular person. I mean, where did you gain your knowledge from, and interactions on a more personal level rather than from a textbook?
Well, okay, I think before I answer that, I think alhamdulillah, I think I'm very fortunate that the first textbook I laid my paws on was Nahjul Balagha.
Really?
That was like, whoa, punch. And after that, the sermons of Ayatollah Araki. When I began attending Ashura Majalis, I think I absorbed a lot more. So a lot of the gaps were filled then. And also Ramadan Majalis, making friends with brothers and spending time, not necessarily in the mosque, but the coffee shop.
Sure.
Just lurking about, and you pick up the less formal modes of behavior.
And what about? I mean, do you have any friends in the UK who are from a similar background to you? I'm talking more ethnic background here.
Yeah, I do have some.
Okay, and is this something that you probably wouldn't discuss with them?
No.
Because okay.
No, I practice. Well, it's an oddity that I'm appearing on Ahlul Bayt TV when I say this, but I practice Taqiyya with my Sunni friends.
Sure.
Because
yes, we
of course,
I
I have only a few Sunni friends left, so
Well, that is unfortunate, of course, but I mean, I understand what you're talking about because I know what the situation is in certain parts of the world. So
Yeah.
no, I understand that. So as you said, your wife went along with your progression. So it wasn't just yourself. She was, alhamdulillah, with you all the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't take this the wrong way. Sometimes when our women follow us, they follow us just because we're the men. And I know that Malaysia's culturally is not necessarily as backward as that. In fact, it's quite progressive. As I was saying earlier, maybe, as you said, in some regards too progressive, at least in the past. But I mean, for her as an individual, I mean, was she just following you, or is this something that has had a profound effect on her herself?
I can say that as far as my wife's concerned, she is a fellow seeker. When we got married, we were both seeking together, and when we finished studies and got into our careers, she took a back seat more in the seeking department, and I did more of the driving, I suppose. But she does her share of reading and asking questions.
Sure.
Difficult questions sometimes.
Sure.
To our dear sheikhs in the centers, but yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, that's good. And your relationship from the days of you reading about Imam Mahdi, peace, may Allah hasten his reappearance, and of the Imams and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though that connection has grown and is growing stronger by the day, or not?
Yeah, I do. I do feel it's stronger. Although my only complaint to myself really is that it's the difficulty of time management really.
Sure.
Because we have majalis, and when you hit the summer days, the majalis starts at 9 and ends at 11, and I can't.
This is a problem for all of us, but I think you shouldn't beat yourself up too much.
So it's a bit difficult in this time, but alhamdulillah, Muharram often falls in the winter or autumn months or spring, so it's kinder to your system that you can get home, get a good night's sleep.
Alhamdulillah.
For the next day.
I'm sure Allah is fully aware of our predicament, and we will continue to try more. And as a conclusion, what about your relationship with the Holy Prophet? Because of course the Imams for us are a representation, if you like, they're an extension of the Holy Prophet. The only reason why I ask this is because when I became a Muslim, my relationship with Prophet Isa alayhi salam, I would say, became more intense. And for you, coming from a Sunnah background to follow the Ahlul Bayt, was it the same type of phenomenon for you with regards to the Prophet of Islam? Peace and blessing be upon him and his holy progeny.
Yes. Some of our Sunni brothers, they unfortunately accuse us of, elevating, especially elevating Imam Ali ﷺ higher than the Prophet. Well, to us it's not a matter of who's higher or not. But the Prophet is always there in the background. He is, he is the father of the Imams.
And of course he is the reason why we revere Imam Ali so much, because of his relationship with the Holy Prophet. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, brother, we've run out of time, but it's been very interesting hearing your story. May Allah give you more and more guidance, and all of us, of course. And on behalf of all of our viewers, I thank you for taking the time to share your story with us, Brother Mohd Naharuddin. And as always, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, and if you know anybody who would like to come on and share their story, then please email us at the regular address, which is Reverts World @ahlulbayt.tv. Join me again next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum. alaikum, welcome back to Reverts World with myself Rauf Shokoya, and our guest today is Brother Mohd Naharuddin, and he has been filling us in on his journey to become a follower of the Ahlul Bayt. And you were just prior to our break, you were talking about this meeting that you'd had with this Sufi Sheikh.
Yeah.
Because you felt you were sitting on
The Shadili Adu.
Yes, yes.
And yet, there is this doctrinal wall that says that, hey, 1, 2, and 3 is it. I can't accept that. It's
so this is the day that you jumped off the fence, then I take it.
Yeah, when I went to Petra to look at one of the signs in the Quran, and then headed back to Damascus and spent more time in Zainabiyah.
Really?
I think.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm on the fence.
Yeah, well, it's not just that. I was still convinced that the Sufi path held some hope of salvation for me, if you like. And I was very much attracted to Naqvi's writings. Oh, by the way, I just remembered that he heads a branch of the Shadiliya Tariqa.
Okay.
And the Shadiliya are quite active in Birmingham, I believe. What attracted me are his writings, where he tirelessly stresses the interconnectedness of Shariat with the Tariqat. So I want to see the man in person. So I went, and when I got there, it was evening after Maghrib prayers. Got the chance to sit down in front of him, and the first thing that came out of his mouth was, if you want to follow our path, your deen must not have space for, what's the word in, how do you describe doctrine? There's an Arabic word that describes doctrine.
Doctrine, maybe aqaid, maybe?
Aqaid, yeah. Aqaid must be the aqaid of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah and nothing else. And I froze. The next day I left.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back?
That broke the camel's back, because as much as I respect him, I cannot accept, that, this is a path that hails its lineage back to Imam Ali.